Hi guys, welcome to How to Real Estate. This is Jared Brenchley. I am a real estate investor, a realtor, and I have talked and negotiated with hundreds of sellers the past few years, and I want to share with you today 5 secrets that can get your properties for 6 figures or less than they're actually worth. So stay tuned. All right, guys, secret number 1 when you're negotiating with sellers, as you know, it's always important to build that rapport and build it quickly. And one easy strategy is mirroring words selectively. Now that's pretty simple, and I'll tell you how to do it. You basically just repeat the last 3 words that they tell you. If they go into a whole story that it's been very hard, they haven't been able to make their payments, the husband lost their job, and then you say, you lost your job, in an almost an uplifting, not uplifting, but like you're asking a question. You lost your job, and they will tell you even more information after that. So you're asking a question without asking the question, and you're allowing them to talk and to discuss, which builds a bond. When anyone talks about themselves, they feel good, and so they relate that feeling good, even if it's about hard stuff. They relate that feeling good to you and how you are making them feel. Now, next we're going to talk about step number 2, which is how to proactively address their concerns without even them bringing them up. Stay tuned. Secret number 2 is practicing tactical empathy. Now, it sounds kind of funny, I know, but we have to show them that we understand and that we understand their concerns. And we can do that proactively by addressing their fears before they even tell us the fears. And we basically label their fears. And we can do that with statements like, it sounds like you're afraid of, or something like, it looks like you're concerned about X, Y, and Z. One of my favorites I always like to say, you're probably expecting me just to give you a low ball. Or I'll say something like, you probably think I'm one of those scummy, low-life investors. And it's a pendulum effect, pendulum effect. The pendulum effect is that when you say one thing, they're naturally going to want to think and say, oh, well, no, I don't think you're one of those sleazeball guys. And since they said it themselves, they actually start to believe it as well, right? So addressing their concerns before they even express them, expressing accusations, no matter how ridiculous they may be, keeps it from festering. Getting to all their concerns before they even tell you their concerns is going to keep that from festering. It's going to allow them to feel more comfortable with you. And so that's step number 2. So be proactively, practice tactical empathy. Next, we're going to talk about the 2-letter word that everyone tries to avoid, but this is something you need to go for. Let me ask you guys a question. Have you ever been in a sales situation where you're buying a car, for example, and the salesman's pushing you to say yes. He wants you to say yes. Yes. He wants to get sales so bad, and you just get more and more defensive and disheartening, and you just feel cornered, right? That's what a lot of people do. They make that mistake of pushing people to say yes. Now, when someone says no, they feel in control. They feel that they have the power. So what we need to do when we're negotiating, which leads us to step number 3, or secret number 3, is get to know. You want them to say no as much as you can. Whenever they feel like cornered or stressed, get them to say no. And we can do that very easily just by asking no-oriented questions. Like, just an example, you can ask, is now a bad time to talk? Well, no, it's not a bad time. Or, have you given up on selling your house? No, I haven't given up. Oh, good. Well, let's continue talking. There's multiple different ways where you can get them to say no, and so that they will actually be able to say yes when it actually counts. So get them to say no on your terms instead of theirs. Here's for our next step, leading to our next step, why is getting them to say 2 words can make them feel like they are on your side. So stay tuned, guys. Okay guys, now for secret number 4 in negotiating with sellers. The moment that you convince someone that you understand their dreams and feelings, in that moment you have a negotiating breakthrough. And this can happen with an easy "that's right" response, having them agree with you that that's right. And it's easier to trigger than you think. Honestly, if you just give them a great summary, will trigger a "that's right" response and base that summary off of their feelings and their passions. It creates empathy and simultaneously confirms that you share understanding with them, and so they instantly feel that you are on their side. They feel that you guys are on the same page. Having those two words said by your counterpart, "that's right," can be a turning point in the negotiations. A few easy statements which you can utilize in negotiating and talking to sellers. It could be simple as like, "I can see that you've been trying to fix this challenge, but you feel lost and confused and not sure what to do." They say, "Oh, that's right," right? Or you can ask them a question, something like, or a statement, better said, a statement, not a question. "I can see you put a lot of work into this house and you don't want it to go to waste." A lot of these tactics and a lot of these sayings can really get them on your side, and that's what you want. And reality, from the get-go, we really are on their side. We want them to feel comfortable with us. We want them to understand where they're coming from, right? So stay tuned for the final secret and the power to get the upper hand in the negotiation. So stay tuned. Okay guys, for the final secret in negotiating with sellers, and it's a doozy. It's creating the illusion of control. Now I want to ask you something. If two parties are talking and 90% of the time one party's talking and the other 10% the other party's talking, who is in control of that conversation? Now, I mean, obviously you need a little more information, but if that person that only spoke 10% is asking questions and the person that's speaking 90% is answering the said questions, then the person who speaks the least is actually in control. Now, who thinks they're really in control? The person that's talking the most. So giving the illusion of control gives them power. So if you guys, there's kind of a theme in all of these negotiating tips, is giving the person that we're talking to power and control, or at least the illusion of that. So the secret of giving them the illusion of control is just asking questions. Having them it's almost forcing your opponent to answer your questions and using their mental energy to focus on your answers. And you can steer the conversation to any which direction you want because you're the one asking those questions, right? So, I mean, how do you feel? Tell me more about that. Open-ended questions is a big thing. Tell me more about that. They can be talking about whatever, it really gives them the feel that they are in control, and it helps you maintain that control. All right, guys, and that was the fifth and final one, creating the illusion of control. And so these are those 5, just to recap, and I want you to make sure you write these down, is the 5 secrets in negotiating with sellers is mirror the words selectively, practice strategic empathy, get to know, and trigger "that's right," and the final, create the illusion of control. So I got a lot of this information from a book that I really love called Split the Difference by Chris Voss. It's one of my favorite books that has really taken my negotiating stance and abilities really to the next level. So I highly recommend you guys check it out. Also, put in the comments below what you guys feel is good negotiating tactics. How do you get the person to feel comfortable with you? What are some pros and cons or some tips and tricks that you guys have learned, and put in the comments. Let us know. What other negotiating books do you guys like to know? Put in the comments as well. If you like negotiating and getting to deals, why don't you click on the video right there and actually join me talking to sellers live. It's really cool, and you can see some of the stuff, how I put in action. I'm not just a talker. I put what I talk. I preach what I do what I preach. I'm not just a talker. I do what I preach. All right, guys, like and subscribe. Share this. If you like this video, hit that share button, subscribe, hit the bell notification. Help me out a lot. I really appreciate it. And I love you guys.